going on, everybody? Before we get into tonight's transmission, I just want to say thank you for all the love and support you've been showing Red Frequency TV. Every like, every comment, every subscription means a lot, and we're just getting started. If you're enjoying these stories and you want to help this channel grow, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next transmission. We're on the road to 100 subscribers, and I'd love for you to be part of the beginning of this journey. Also, starting next Monday, we're stepping up the consistency with 2 uploads a day. So there'll be even more horror waiting for you every single day. Now, good evening. You're now tuned into Red Frequency TV, the station where the signal is weak, but the stories are real. Tonight's transmission comes from someone who experienced something they still can't explain. So turn up your volume, keep the lights on, and whatever you do, don't watch alone. I never believed people when they said someone could change overnight. My older brother Marcus had always been the same. Loud, funny, the kind of person who couldn't walk into a room without making somebody laugh. If I was having a bad day, he'd know before I even said a word. That's why I noticed it immediately. But before I get to that, you need to understand who he was. We lived about 15 minutes apart, but he'd stop by my apartment almost every evening after work. We'd order food, argue over basketball, play old video games, and he'd leave around 10. It became such a routine that if he didn't show up, I'd probably think something happened. Nothing about those nights ever felt strange until that Tuesday. Marcus showed up right on time. Same hoodie, same beat-up sneakers, same car. He walked inside without knocking like he always did. "What's good?" he asked. I remember thinking his voice sounded a little deeper, not different, just tired. I didn't think much of it. We ordered pizza, turned on the game, and talked for almost an hour. Everything seemed normal. Then I made a joke I'd been making since we were kids. He just stared at me. No smile, no laugh, nothing. A few seconds passed before he finally chuckled. It wasn't fake. It was delayed. Like he'd needed a moment to figure out why it was supposed to be funny. I laughed it off. People have off days, right? The rest of the night felt mostly normal. Mostly. Every now and then, I'd catch him looking at me. Not the way your brother looks at you. The way a stranger watches someone across a restaurant, studying them like he was trying to remember something. Around 10, he stood up to leave. "I'll see you tomorrow," he said. I nodded. "Drive safe." He smiled. It was the same smile I'd seen my whole life, except he held it long after the conversation was over, long after I'd stopped smiling back. He just kept smiling. Then he turned around and walked out. I locked the door behind him and told myself I was being ridiculous. People have bad days. People zone out. People get tired. That's all it was. At least, that's what I believed, until I looked out my living room window. Marcus wasn't getting into his car. He was still standing in my parking lot, completely still, looking up at my apartment window. I froze. The curtain was barely pulled back, but I knew he could see me. He hadn't moved. His hands hung at his sides. His head was tilted just enough that I couldn't tell if he was looking at my window or straight through it. I grabbed my phone to call him. The second I looked down, his contact lit up my screen. "Marcus Calling," I answered immediately. Yo, why are you still outside? A pause. Then he laughed. What are you talking about? I'm already home. I frowned and looked back out the window. He was still there, standing in the exact same spot. I forced out a laugh. Stop playing. I'm serious, he said. I just walked in. I could hear a door close on his end. Then keys hitting a counter, sounds that made perfect sense. Except I was looking at him. I'll call you tomorrow, he said. Before I could answer, the call ended. I didn't take my eyes off the parking lot. 10, 20, 30 seconds passed. Then, without warning, he turned, not toward his car, toward the sidewalk. He walked away at a slow, steady pace until he disappeared into the darkness beyond the streetlights. He never once looked back. I barely slept that night. By morning, I'd convinced myself I'd imagined half of it. Maybe someone just looked like Marcus. Maybe I was more tired than I realized. That explanation lasted until lunch. Marcus stopped by my job. The second I saw him, I felt embarrassed for letting my imagination get the better of me. He looked normal. He joked around with my co-workers. He shoved my shoulder like he always did. For a while, I felt stupid. Then he asked me something. So, did you sleep all right? I nodded. Yeah, why? He smiled. I don't know. Another pause. It looked like you were watching me for a long time last night. Every hair on my arms stood up. I never told him I'd been standing at my window. I never told anyone. My stomach dropped. I just stared at him. What do you mean? I asked. Marcus shrugged like it was nothing. I could feel you watching. He smiled, grabbed a chip off my plate, and started eating like he hadn't just said the strangest thing I'd ever heard. I tried convincing myself he'd guessed. Maybe he'd seen me move the curtain. Maybe he'd caught a reflection in the window. There had to be an explanation. There always is, right? The rest of his visit felt normal, at least on the surface. He laughed at the right moments, talked about work, complained about traffic, but every now and then, he'd stop talking in the middle of a sentence and just look at me, not into my eyes, at my face, like he was memorizing it. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling. I dug through my phone, looking for old pictures of us, birthdays, cookouts, Christmas mornings. Everything looked normal. Then I found a video from 2 years earlier. Marcus was teaching my little cousin how to ride a bike. He kept encouraging him, laughing, cheering every time he made it a few more feet. It was exactly how I remembered him. Without thinking, I pulled up a picture I'd taken of Marcus just a few days ago. I stared at both images side by side. Same face, same eyes, same smile. But something felt missing, not different, empty, like I was looking at someone pretending to be my brother instead of my brother himself. I hated myself for even thinking it. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. You awake? I replied, yeah. What's up? 3 dots appeared almost immediately, then disappeared, then came back. Finally, another message. Random question. A few seconds later, when we were kids, what was your favorite memory with me? I smiled. It was such a strange question. I started typing, then I stopped. Marcus already knew the answer. It was the story he told everyone, the one he'd never forgotten. So why? Was he asking me? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I scrolled through our old messages. Marcus had never asked me anything like that before, not once. I finally replied, you already know. The message showed as delivered. Then, nothing, no typing, no response. About 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Marcus, I answered. You could have just texted me back, I said. Silence. Then his voice. I wanted to hear you say it. I laughed nervously. You serious? Yeah. So, tell me, something about the way he said it bothered me. There was no emotion behind it, just curiosity, like he wasn't remembering something. He was collecting information. I told him anyway. The cabin trip. You pushed me out of the way when that tree branch fell. Silence. Then he quietly repeated, the cabin trip. Another pause. The tree branch. It sounded less like he was reminiscing and more like he was taking notes. You don't remember? I asked. I do, he answered too quickly. I just wanted to hear you tell it. We hung up a minute later. The conversation stayed with me all night. The next morning, I drove to my mom's house. Marcus was already there. The second I walked inside, he smiled. You made it. I nodded, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. Mom walked in carrying coffee. You boys remember that cabin trip? She asked. I looked at Marcus. He looked at me. Then he smiled. I'd love to hear that story again. The room suddenly felt colder. That wasn't like him, because that story. Marcus was always the one who told it. Nobody seemed to notice. Mom smiled and started setting mugs on the table. You've told that story 100 times, she laughed. Marcus smiled back. I know. Then he looked at me, but he tells it better. I felt my chest tighten. That wasn't true. Marcus always added details nobody else remembered. He'd act out the way I screamed when the branch cracked. Mom would laugh every single time because he never changed the story. Never. Until now. I forced a smile and told it as I spoke. Marcus never interrupted. He just watched me. Not like someone remembering, like someone studying. Every time I mentioned a detail, his eyes seemed to light up. When I finished, he nodded slowly. I forgot that part. I almost laughed. Forgot. He was the reason I remembered it in the first place. Mom didn't think anything of it. She just shrugged. You're getting older. Marcus smiled. I guess I am. But something about the way he said it felt rehearsed, like he'd heard someone else say it before. A little later, Mom asked Marcus to grab an old photo album from the hallway closet. He walked straight past it, stopped, looked around, then opened the wrong door. He'd been coming to this house for over 20 years. He could have found that closet with the lights off. You forget where it is? Mom teased. Marcus froze for a second, then laughed. I wasn't paying attention. He found the right closet and came back with the album. Nobody else seemed bothered, but I couldn't shake it. On my way home, I kept replaying everything in my head. The forgotten memories, the strange questions, the wrong closet. Each one had an explanation. Together, they didn't. That night, my phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Just one sentence. Can you tell me what Dad sounded like? I stared at the message for almost a minute. My dad had died 8 years earlier. Marcus never talked about him like that. He didn't need to. If anyone remembered Dad's voice better than me, it was Marcus. I typed back. Why are you asking me that? The reply came almost instantly. I just don't want to forget. I wanted to believe him. Grief does strange things to people. Maybe he was missing Dad. Maybe I was reading too much into it. So I closed my phone and went to bed. The next afternoon, Marcus showed up at my apartment again. Same hoodie, same smile. He held up a bag of burgers. Figured I'd stop by. For the first 20 minutes, everything felt normal. Then he picked up a framed picture sitting on my bookshelf. It was me, Marcus, and Dad at a Tigers game. He stared at it longer than anyone should. Without looking away, he asked, Did he always smile like that? I felt my stomach twist. What? Dad, I frowned. You were there. Marcus slowly looked at me. I know. A pause. I just wanted to make sure I remembered him correctly. I didn't answer. Instead, I took the frame from his hands and set it back down. For the first time in my life, being around my own brother made me uncomfortable when he finally left. I locked the door behind him. Then I did something I wish I'd done days earlier. I called my mom. Has Marcus been acting strange to you? She laughed. No. Why? I hesitated. I don't know. He just doesn't seem like himself. There was a long silence. Then she said something that made every hair on my neck stand up. That's funny. What? I was going to ask you the same thing. I stopped breathing. What do you mean? I asked. Mom sounded confused. I don't know. You've just been acting different lately. My grip tightened around the phone. I haven't even seen you in almost 2 weeks. Another pause. Yes, you have. No, I haven't. You came over 3 nights ago. Every muscle in my body locked up. Mom, I never came over. She laughed. Why are you messing with me? I'm not. I made you dinner. You stayed for almost an hour. My voice dropped to a whisper. What did we eat? Pot roast. My stomach turned. I hated pot roast. Marcus knew that. I'd avoided it since I was a kid, Mom continued. You barely talked. I figured you were just tired. I couldn't speak. Then she said something I'll never forget. You kept asking questions about your father? The room suddenly felt too quiet. What kind of questions? His favorite music. The way he laughed. Little things. I felt sick. Those were the same kinds of questions Marcus had been asking me. Mom, when I left the kitchen for a minute, her voice grew uncertain. Then I came back, and you were standing in the hallway. So, you were staring at our family pictures. Mom, what happened? I asked what you were doing. She hesitated. You smiled. A chill ran through me. You smiled and asked me. She took a shaky breath. Which one of these people do you miss the most? I closed my eyes. I knew I had never asked her that. Then she whispered something that made my blood run cold. I thought you were joking, but you didn't sound like my son. I drove to my mom's house the second we hung up. The whole way there, I kept telling myself she'd mistaken someone else for me. She had to be. There wasn't another explanation. When I pulled into the driveway, she was already waiting on the porch. The first thing she did was hug me. Then she pulled back and looked me in the eyes. You really don't remember coming over? I wasn't here. She searched my face for a moment, then slowly nodded. I believe you. She led me inside. Everything looked the same. The family pictures, the couch, the hallway. Then she stopped in front of the dining room table. You were sitting right there. She pointed to the chair. You kept asking about your dad. I swallowed. What exactly did I say? She closed her eyes, trying to remember. You asked how he laughed. Then you asked what made him angry. You wanted to know what kind of food he liked. My stomach tightened. Then she hesitated. You asked something that didn't make any sense. What? She looked at me. You asked if someone remembered every single thing about him, would that be enough to become him? I felt the air leave my lungs. I never said that. I know, she whispered, because whoever was sitting in that chair looked exactly like you. A floorboard creaked somewhere down the hallway. Mom and I both turned toward the sound. Marcus, she called. No answer. The hallway was empty. Another creak. This time, from upstairs, Mom frowned. I thought we were the only ones home. Mom told me to stay behind her. I almost laughed. She'd always done that when I was a kid. If she heard a noise downstairs, she'd stand between me and the hallway like she could stop anything from getting to me. This time, I let her. Another creak echoed from upstairs. Slow, deliberate. Mom looked at me. Marcus still has a key, she whispered. I shook my head. He would have called first. She didn't answer. We climbed the stairs one at a time. Every step sounded louder than the last. The hallway came into view. Every bedroom door was open, except one, Dad's old office. The door was almost closed, just enough to leave a narrow crack. Mom frowned. I left that open this morning. Neither of us moved. Then a voice came from inside, soft, calm. So that's where he kept it. I knew that voice. It was Marcus, Mom whispered. Marcus. The room went silent. She slowly pushed the door open. Nobody. The office was empty. The window was locked. The closet was empty. There was nowhere anyone could have hidden. Then I noticed Dad's old cassette recorder sitting on the desk. It hadn't worked in years. The play button was pressed down. A tape was spinning. The speaker crackled. Then Marcus's voice filled the room. So that's where he kept it. The exact sentence we'd heard moments earlier. I stared at the recorder. That's impossible. Mom slowly reached over and pressed stop. The tape clicked. Silence. Then, without anyone touching it, the play button slowly pushed itself back down. The tape started again. Only this time, it wasn't Marcus speaking. It was my voice, asking one question. Which one of these people do you miss the most? Mom screamed. I grabbed the recorder and ripped the tape out. The reels spilled across the floor. Silence. Neither of us said a word. I looked at the tape in my hands. It was old. So old, the label had faded. There was no way it should have contained my voice. Mom slowly sat down in Dad's chair. I've never heard that before. I looked around the office. It hadn't changed since Dad passed away. His books were still on the shelves. His reading glasses still sat beside a stack of notebooks. Everything was exactly where he'd left it, except one notebook was open. I was sure it had been closed. I walked over. Only one sentence was written across the page. It always starts with questions. I frowned. Dad wrote this? Mom stepped beside me. Her face went pale. No. What? Your father never wrote in capital letters. I felt a knot form in my stomach. The ink looked fresh. Not 8 years old. Fresh, as if someone had written it that day. I turned the page. Blank. Another page. Blank. Then, near the middle of the notebook, another sentence. Memories are the door. My pulse started racing. The handwriting wasn't Dad's. It wasn't Mom's. It wasn't Marcus's. It looked practiced, almost like someone had spent a long time trying to imitate the way humans write. Then I noticed something else. The ink on the final page was still wet, very slowly, right in front of us. New letters began appearing, stroke by stroke, as if an invisible hand was writing. Mom grabbed my arm. Neither of us could look away. The sentence finished itself. He is almost ready. Neither of us moved. The words sat there, glistening as the ink slowly soaked into the paper. I slammed the notebook shut. Let's go. Mom didn't argue. We hurried downstairs, locked the front door, and sat in the living room without saying a word. Neither of us wanted to be the first to admit what we'd just seen. Then my phone vibrated. Marcus. I looked at Mom. He keeps calling. Answer it. I put the phone on speaker. Hello. Marcus sounded completely normal. Yo, where you at? I looked at Mom. Why? I stopped by your apartment. You weren't there. A chill ran through me. How long ago? Like 10 minutes. That was impossible. I'd been at Mom's house for over an hour. You sure? Yeah. He laughed. I even knocked a few times. Then he asked, "You've been with Mom this whole time?" I didn't answer. How'd you know I was here? Silence. Then I guessed. His voice didn't sound convincing. I ended the call. Almost immediately, Mom's phone rang. She looked down at the screen. Her face lost all color. "It's you." "What?" She turned the phone toward me. "Incoming call." Me. Before either of us could react, my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't Marcus. The screen didn't show a name. It only displayed 3 words. "Answer me." The phone kept vibrating. Again, again. Then, without anyone touching it, the call connected. I lifted the phone to my ear. For several seconds, nothing. Then, I heard my own voice, quietly whispering, "I think he believes I'm you now." My heart stopped. I slowly pulled the phone away from my ear. The call was still connected. No number, no caller ID, just silence. Then, my voice spoke again, only this time. It sounded closer. "You shouldn't have answered." The call ended. Mom looked at me. What did it say? I couldn't answer because I wasn't listening to the phone anymore. I was listening to the hallway. Someone was walking through the house. Slow footsteps. 1, 2, 3. Neither of us moved. The footsteps stopped. Outside the living room, Mom whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. I grabbed the fireplace poker and stepped into the hallway. Empty. The front door was still locked. Every window was shut. No one. Then I heard it. A soft voice from behind me. "You always hold it in your right hand." I spun around. Nobody. The voice hadn't come from the hallway. It had come from inside the living room. Mom was standing exactly where I'd left her. Her eyes were fixed on the opposite side of the room. I followed her gaze. The hallway mirror. Someone was standing in it, not beside us, inside the reflection. It looked exactly like me. Same clothes, same face, same expression. The only difference, it wasn't copying my movements. I took one step forward. It didn't move. Mom grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. "Don't." I couldn't look away. The thing smiled, not at me, at Mom. Then, in my voice, it quietly asked, "Have I learned enough yet?" The lights went out for 1 second. The entire house was silent. When the power came back, the reflection was gone, but Mom wasn't standing next to me anymore. "Mom?" My voice echoed through the house. No answer. She had been holding my arm. 1 second she was there. The next, she was gone. I searched every room. The kitchen, the dining room, the bedrooms, nothing. The front door was still locked from the inside. Every window was still shut. There was no way she could have left. Then, I heard her voice upstairs. "Honey?" It came from Dad's old office. I ran up the stairs 2 at a time. The office door was open. The room was empty. "Mom? I'm in here." Her voice came from the closet. I pulled the door open. Nothing. Only Dad's old jackets hanging in the dark. The voice spoke again. Now, from behind me. "I thought you'd find me faster." I spun around. The hallway was empty. My breathing became shallow. It wasn't just copying voices anymore. It was moving them, leading me, playing with me. Then, every phone in the house started ringing. Mine, Mom's, the old landline. All at once, I answered mine. "Hello," a calm voice whispered. "You're making this difficult." My grip tightened. "Who are you?" A pause. Then, "We've been trying to understand you." No answer. Instead, it asked a question. What makes someone your mother? I felt my blood run cold. What? If every memory remained, if every habit stayed the same, if every word sounded identical, what would still be missing? The call disconnected. At that exact moment, I heard the front door unlock. Slowly, it creaked open. Footsteps entered the house. Then, my mother's voice called out from downstairs. I'm home. But if someone had just come home, who had disappeared? I stood frozen at the top of the stairs. Mom? The voice came again. I'm in the kitchen. It sounded perfect. Every word, every inflection. I forced myself downstairs. She was standing at the sink with her back to me, calmly washing a coffee mug like nothing had happened. She turned and smiled. There you are. I didn't move. Where were you? I asked. She frowned. What do you mean? You disappeared. No, I didn't. You vanished. She laughed softly. I think you're exhausted. My heart pounded. What were we talking about before the lights went out? She blinked once. I don't remember. That wasn't possible. Neither of us could forget what had just happened. I took another step back. She noticed. Why are you looking at me like that? I didn't answer. Instead, I asked something only my real mom would know. When I was 8, what nickname did you always call me when I got scared? For the first time, she hesitated. Not long, maybe 2 seconds, but it felt like forever. Then she smiled. I've called you a lot of things. Wrong. She always called me one thing. Every single time I turned toward the front door, behind me, her voice became calm, almost curious. What should I have said? I froze. Slowly, I looked back. She wasn't smiling anymore. She was watching me, studying me, waiting, like my answer actually mattered. That's when I finally understood. It wasn't pretending anymore. It was learning, and it wanted me to teach it how to become my mother. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The thing wearing my mother's face tilted its head, waiting with a patience that didn't feel human. What should I have said? It asked again. Its voice was perfect, but there was no emotion behind it, just curiosity, like a student waiting for the correct answer. I slowly backed toward the front door. It never took its eyes off me. Then it smiled. You don't have to be afraid. I've heard her say that before. A chill ran through me. It wasn't comforting me. It was repeating something it had learned. I reached for the doorknob. Locked. I didn't remember locking it. The thing glanced at the door, then back at me. You always lock it twice. My heart sank. It knew my habits. It knew hers. What else did it know? Then it asked another question. When someone changes, how long does it take before the people they love notice? I didn't respond. I unlocked the door and stepped outside. The evening air hit my face. For the first time all day, I felt like I could breathe. Then I looked across the street. My neighbor was standing on his porch, completely still, watching my house. A woman walked her dog on the sidewalk. She stopped. She looked at me. She didn't move. A man washing his truck lowered the sponge in his hand. He stared at me. None of them spoke. None of them blinked. One by one, they all smiled. Not wide, not threatening, just enough. As if they all recognized me. As if they had been waiting for me to come outside. Behind me, the front door slowly opened. My mother's voice quietly said, "You noticed us sooner than most." Then, every person on the street took one step toward my house at the exact same time. I ran. I didn't look back. The sound of footsteps followed me down the street, but they never got closer. They never had to. Everywhere I looked, someone was watching. A man waiting at a bus stop, a cashier standing inside a gas station, a woman sitting in her parked car. They all stopped what they were doing the moment I passed. They all looked at me. The same expression, the same smile. I drove until sunrise. No destination, just away. I threw my phone out the window. I checked every mirror. I trusted no one. For weeks, I lived out of cheap motels, changing towns every few days. No matter where I went, I always caught someone studying me, not following, studying. Eventually, I stopped running because I realized something. If they wanted me dead, I would have been dead. That was never their goal. They wanted something else. They wanted to understand me, understand us. So, I'm leaving this recording behind, not because I think someone will save me, but because maybe you'll notice the signs before it's too late. If someone you love suddenly starts asking about memories they should already know, pay attention. If they begin studying your family photos, pay attention. If they ask what made someone laugh, or cry, or who you miss the most, don't answer, because they aren't making conversation. They're learning, and once they know enough, they don't need you anymore. I don't know how many of them there are. I don't know where they came from. The only thing I know for certain is that they were here long before I noticed them. Come, Nainad. And maybe long before any of us did. If you're hearing this, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. To me, someone's knocking at my motel room door. 3 slow knocks. I never told anyone where I was. Then a familiar voice came through the door. Soft, calm, almost relieved. You can stop pretending now. I finally remember how to be you. The recording ends there. You've reached the end of tonight's transmission. But remember, not every story ends when the recording stops. If you enjoyed tonight's transmission, leave a like, subscribe, and join us for the next one. We're on the road to 100 subscribers, and every new viewer helps keep the signal alive. Starting next Monday, Red Frequency TV will be bringing you 2 new transmissions every day. So make sure your notifications are turned on. Until our next transmission, sleep lightly, trust carefully, and whatever you do, don't watch alone.